merging level 1 with level 2. Level 1 is mainly about figuring out what to put here. So what's the name of this figure here? Cone. Good. Okay. So we've got to figure out some stuff. Like the radius means the radius of the circle. So what's the radius of that circle?
5.
5. That's pretty easy, right? The height. This is something to be very careful about. Is the height going to be 12 or is it going to be x? 12. Its height is vertical. Some of you are still getting your triangles wrong because you're using the hypotenuse as the height. This is never the height. The height is always straight up and down. Okay, so the height is 12. If we want to find the slant height, how are we going to figure it out? Pythagorean theorem. Does everybody see this hidden right triangle inside there?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to help us find x. And the slant height, of course, is that diagonal height of the cone. So what we've got here is 5 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared. It's 25 plus 144 equals x squared. So that's 169 equals x squared. So x equals 13. Okay, so now we're on a cone. So the surface area will be the area of the base plus pi times the radius times the slant height. Can you get a torch? What's the area of the base here? What's the area of that circle? So pi times the radius squared, what's that going to be? 25 pi, right? So it's 25 pi plus pi times the radius times the slant height. So what's the radius again? 5, and what's the slant height? 13. So what's 5 times 13?
65.
65. So it's 25 pi plus 65 pi. So ask yourself, are 25 pi and 65 pi like terms?
Yes.
Yeah, because they both have the pi, right? So what's 25 plus 65? 90. So it's 90 pi units
Squared.
squared. And that's it. It's basically plugging in. Once you've got the formula, it's basically just plugging in. The volume will be 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So pay close attention here, because here's something where if you're not used to multiplying fractions, you will do something harder than what I'm doing. And do you guys like to do hard work?
No.
No, you like to make it easy, right? So look at this. It's 1/3. And again, what was the area of the base? The area of that circle? 25 what?
Pi.
25 pi. So look what I write. Instead of writing 25 pi, I write 25 pi over 1. You guys see why I would do that? Because I'm going to look for things to cancel. And then what's the height here? Be right. If you're wrong, you're dead. So what? 12. Good. Okay, 12 over 1. So now, instead of doing all this multiplication and division, I'm going to look for something that cancels. So do you see anything on top that cancels with this 3? 12. So instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross this out and cross this out. I'll turn the 12 into what? 4. So now all I have is 1's on bottom and 1 times 25 pi times 4 on top. So what's 25 pi times 4? 25 times
100 pi.
it's 100 pi. Why is it 100 pi? Because you can always multiply unlike terms. You just can't add them. 100 pi units
Squared.
squared or cubed?
Cubed.
Cubed, because this is volume. 100 pi units cubed. Okay. All right. Our next figure, what's the name of this figure here?
Sphere.
Sphere. And the sphere is different from the other two because in the sphere, there's only one measurement. So what's the radius of this sphere? 9. So if we want to find the surface area, it's going to be 4 pi times the radius squared, right? So it's going to be 4. 4 over what? Anybody?
1.
1. Good. 4 over 1, or 4 pi over 1 times the radius. What's the radius here? 9. So what I'm going to do is 9 over 1 times 9 over 1. Do you guys understand why I'm writing it that way?
Yeah.
Just keep in mind that there's things we might be able to factor. Okay? So what's 9 times 9? 81. 81 times 4. Write it down. 81 times 4. We have all 1s on the bottom this time, so there's nothing else that we have to do here. 324 pi units squared. You sir in the back?
I got it, you got it.
Okay, so it's 324 pi units squared. Is that the surface area or the volume? Surface area. Okay, so there's 324 pi units squared. Now the volume, and this is where our canceling is really going to come in. But it's good to set it up the same way we just set this up. So it's 4 over 3 pi. So I'm going to write it like this. 4 pi over 3 times the radius squared. What's the radius again? 9. So what I'm going to write is 9 over 1 times 9 over 1 times 9 over 1. Do you guys get why I did it that way? I did it that way because I'm looking for something to cancel. Can I cancel something? The 3 and the 9. So cross out the 3 and this 9, and what does this 9 become? 3. So now it's all ones on the bottom, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when it's ones on the bottom, we don't need the denominator. So now multiply, and this will take a little while, but 4 times 3 is what? 12. 9 times 9 is 81. So 12 times 81 pi will be our answer. So multiply that through 12 times 81, and we'll have the answer. $972. 972 agrees with me. So 972, and let's get this right. 972 pi units cubed is correct. Okay, cool. Let's pan over here for the next problem.
That's like,
Walk closer, yeah, walk closer.
but do I turn it off? 'Cause-
Yeah, just walk closer. Keep it in the air. Look at the ceiling. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Nobody knows. Anonymity. Okay, perfect. Just squat right there. That's cool. Okay. So this continues our level 2. Have a seat, please.
Okay.
This is easy. What does S stand for?
Side.
Side. So what's the side length on our pyramid here?
X.
It's 12. Okay. What's the height here?
8.
8. How do we know that X is not the height?
Because that's it.
And it's slant height. Height is vertical. Height is always vertical. Don't get that wrong. Those are killers. Okay, so H is 8. Now the slant height.
X.
X. We need to figure out X.
Second theorem.
Okay, you're right, but let's think about this. What's this distance?
6.
6. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't see that, that's where you're going to get confused. Is everybody able to pick that out? It has to be half of that. So now we've got 6 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared. Are you with me on that? Okay, so 6 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared. That's 36 plus 64 equals x squared. That's 100 equals x squared. And this looks nice. X equals
10.
10. Therefore, the slant height is
10.
10. Okay, not that bad, right? Next, the surface area equals the area of the base plus 2s times sh. I'm going to take a little moment to figure this out because this seems weird. Does anybody understand what this is? Okay, let's imagine a net of this pyramid. What it would be is a square surrounded by how many triangles?
4.
4. Okay. Now, the base of one of these triangles is going to equal S as this distance. Does that make sense? And then the height is not the height, but actually the slant height of the triangle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so one triangle equals the base, which is S, times the slant height, which is slant over 2, right? And how many triangles do we have?
4.
4. So you multiply this times 4. So it's 4 times S times SH over 2. It equals 2S times SH. Because the 4 and the 2 cancel. So this is really the area of the 4 triangles. Does that make sense to you?
So you can only do that with a square, right?
You can only do it with a square pyramid. Great answer. You can only do it with a square pyramid. That's true. So when we move on to level 4 with hexagonal pyramids, this won't work anymore. But that's great. I'm glad that you noticed that. Okay, so the area of the base means the area of the square. So square formula is s squared. So what's 12 squared?
144.
144. So it's 144 plus 2 times what's S? 12. And what's the slant height? X, but we figured it out. 10. So it's going to be S times SH, right? We already figured out the variable, so it's easy. What is 12 times 10?
120.
120. Okay. So what's 2 times 120?
240.
And what is 144 plus 240? 384 units
Square.
squared. Okay. Almost there. Volume, 1/3 area of the base times the height. Okay. So again, we're going to do this clever thing here. We're going to write it like this. 1/3 times, what was the area of the base?
144.
144. So I'm going to do it like this. 144 over what? 1. And what's the height?
8.
8 over 1. Okay, does anyone see anything you can actually cancel here?
Maybe 3.
How about the 3 and the 144? Does anyone know what 144 divided by 3 is?
How about you? Do you know?
I do.
48.
You're right, good. 48, cool. Okay, that leaves all 1s on the bottom, so this process gets easier. 48 times 8 will be our volume, so 48 times 8. 384. Now, I want you to notice something. Isn't that the exact same number we got here?
Yeah.
It's kind of
That's
weird.
weird.
Do you think that's going to happen a lot or rarely?
Rarely.
Rarely. It's true. Okay, but anyway, that's an introduction to level 2. So thank you. Please review the video, and we're done.